In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In this story of the Good Samaritan, which most people will know, we see two people who should know better. We have a priest and a Levite, and they walk by an incredibly injured man. And there's no reason given why they've done this. Perhaps they were in a hurry, or they didn't want to get involved, or they're scared of being attacked themselves if they stopped, or they have an important meeting to go to. It's difficult to imagine any of those reasons would justify walking by someone who is seriously injured. Passing on the other side, distinctly avoiding, pretending you don't see them. Now, when we read the story, we all want to be like the Samaritan, of course. Maybe see ourselves as always the Samaritan. But as Jesus was telling this story to ordinary people, he's actually suggesting that everybody is like the bad priest. Everybody is like the thoughtless Levites. At times. I don't know, it could be that Jesus' story drew his listeners in and fascinated them because he appealed to their prejudices. And they thought, well, maybe he's going to be on our side. Could be the average Jew did not aspire to be any of the three people mentioned. The priest, Levite, a very different, unattainable social class and religious class, and the Samaritan, someone often despised, a different ethnic group, different religious practice, someone not to associate with. But in the story, we are all supposed to aspire to be like the Samaritan. But no one in Jesus' audience would want to be a Samaritan. But that's sort of a wonderful side issue to explore in that story that Jesus actually speaks to. Because if you were telling the story now to a devout Christian audience, I imagine you can imagine what kind of person would he replace for the Samaritan? Because Samaritans, we don't know Samaritans. Perhaps Muslim. But the real question of the story is not who should we be most like on a good day. The more important question is, who is my neighbor? We all know that we're supposed to be compassionate and generous to anybody in need. But where does this stop? Surely we can't be compassionate to everyone, and perhaps not everyone deserves it. Surely Jesus isn't saying that everybody is our neighbor, either then or in our current situation. Because we know it's actually even illegal to help some people who are in need. And even the church, well, maybe especially the church, has its limits on who it will let through its doors. And this is exactly, I think, what Jesus is saying. Everybody, every person is our potential neighbor. And especially those in need. Some of these neighbors will be obvious. like the people in this space. I hope we see one another as neighbors and friends and care for one another. So that's an easy one. Others will be more difficult to identify. And at times, it may be very unorthodox. It may be risky. It may even be criminal to help somebody in need. In those last categories, if it required great risk or even the threat of prosecution, could you still be a neighbor? Well, I identify with the man who prompted Jesus to tell the story. The man who asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" As this is the question for our time in the place where we live. I want to be like the Samaritan. Yet, realistically, most days, I'm more like the lawyer. I ask Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus, I see too many neighbors. How is it possible to help them all? And is it right that I should help them all? What if they are difficult neighbors? Can't I just say this is too hard for me and then be let off or excused? Such questions do paralyze us from doing anything or helping anyone. It is a comfort that Jesus' answer in this simple story speaks to all of those questions. In spite of all the suffering we know about, there will always be those opportunities right in front of us. And it will be our choice whether we act like a priest and a Levite and look away, or if we face those in need right before us. These people will not necessarily be someone who is injured out in the streets, though it could be. Perhaps someone hurting within an individual situation, a person in crisis. We can choose to help or walk away because it's too difficult for us. As I was writing that very sentence, and as many of you know, I get up very early in the morning, and that's when I was writing this. So knock on the door. I don't know what time it was. Someone knocked on the door. I turned around because the door is right behind my desk. And there was this man, much worse for wear. I knew it. He'd been out all night, looking for a place to stay. Been offered a drink along the way. He wasn't in great shape, but very hungry, very dispirited. This is while I was writing this. And so it was actually easy and laughable, really. And we had a great chat. And I gave him some money, hoping he would go to McDonald's, because McDonald's would be the only thing that would be open, and get something to eat, because that's what he really needed. That was easy. I'm not always so responsive or kind. And I'm not trying to be humble or anything, that's just the way it is. And I'm sure you could say the same thing, really. People do watch us Christians, and And it will be always that local example, how we treat those neighbors, how we are seen to be treating our neighbors, that people will see as our advertisement for how Christians act. As Jesus tells the story, we may first want to experience it as an injured person, absolving our responsibility of choosing to be the neighbor. We all have our times as the person in need. And God willing, we will receive that compassion that we need from those around us. Yet, that's not what Jesus is addressing. Jesus' parable is an invitation. It's an invitation to notice the neighbor, whoever they are, and respond to their need, which may be as little as a smile, a sign of our acceptance, or as something much more costly to us. Where do we begin? Who is my neighbor? Well, this is the point we need to move on from and act at times with extravagance. Specific people and places will be shown to us if we are truly ready to stop asking, well, who is it? And see the neighbor in our midst. Amen.